Cricket et al. It's a website, it's a podcast.
Pete, it's a way of life. It's Gideon Haig over here.
And it's Peter Lawler over here.
And welcome to Cricket et al., your independent cricket podcast. First day of the Worrell Trophy series, and yet again, what a jumbo-packed day of Test cricket. Those good old days of 6 for 280 with no one getting 100, you kind of miss them, don't you, sometimes? About 14 for 237 today from 76.5 overs. I think at the close, remind me, Pete, West Indies are 457?
They are 457.
Australia's 180?
Yes, after 20 overs. That's exactly correct, Gideon. Well done. It's almost like you were here.
Good.
And not at home,
so
looking like
doing that from memory.
Looking like Steptoe in your dressing gown there.
This is a cardigan my daughter bought me.
Yeah, I remember that one.
Chilly where I am.
We can call it a dressing gown just for the purposes of this podcast, can't we? Yeah, it was one of those days. Like no matter how long you do this job, you're searching for that narrative early, aren't you? You know, you've got to keep your powder dry. But boy, oh boy, there was a few lines going on in this match, many narratives. The first and the most immediate, which probably people saw before they went to bed, or hopefully they went to bed before this happened, was the three inclusions in the Australian side being rock and roll for a total of 11 runs between them. Sam Constas out for 3, Cameron Green out for 3, and Josh Inglis for 5. Pretty poor returns from those three, who would have arrived bright-eyed and bushy-tailed and hoping to sort of start the rest of their career in this reset Australian team.
So Pat Cummins has won the toss and batted. Was there any other alternative?
Well, I suppose he could have bowled or gone home, but yeah, look.
Dick of death?
I got to say.
Pitch do anything?
Dick of death. It was a fantastic wicket. Now, Cummins did admit yesterday that he had no idea how it would play, and it was the first thing that caught my eye when I got to the ground this morning. I looked out and thought, God, what the hell's gone on out there? You haven't read my piece, but in the piece I compare it to, men when they get a hair transplant, they've just had it, and because these plugs of grass had started to grow up in the middle of the wicket.
Like the top of Tom Morris's head.
Well, I wasn't going to say that, but Tom has made it.
Can I tell?
He's produced. He's supporting some product there, isn't he, where you get your hair from?
Yeah,
yes,
yeah.
But, it was still assumed that it would be a West Indies wicket with not too much life in it and maybe some life to come. And even, as the first over was being bowled, I heard experts talking about, Australia have missed a trick by not including 2 spinners. But, this was a lively deck, Gideon. It had, the first thing that caught my eye was the movement in the air. Seal's first over the ball swung like it used to do in England in the old days, or it does in under-14s cricket. It was hooping out of the bowler's hand.
Well, he does. Yeah, he does swing it, doesn't he?
He
does
sure
swing it, and he
swing
bowled
it.
pretty full.
Yeah,
and and it didn't give him a lot of width, so they were kind of fretting on those scoring opportunities which they didn't really get. And they got themselves in a bit of a tangle, as you say, with Constas, Green, and Inglis. But
it wasn't so much the swing that seemed to be troubling the batsman as movement off the pitch and the bounce. I say towards the end there, and that bounce it sustained through the day. Towards the end there, Pat Cummins got one to rear up, like a sort of dog jumping at a postman. That one where the batsman takes their hand away but still manages to nick the ball. So this was a challenging wicket. It doesn't excuse the poor performance by the Australian top order. Well, you should note that Usman Khawaja, the old man, hung around for 47, and that the barroom brawler Travis Head came in and slapped up a quick 59 to kind of restore some order to the innings. But along the way,
it could have been even worse, couldn't it, Pete?
Oh yeah,
it could have been even worse. So Green's dropped on North,
correct?
In the gully by Brandon King.
Yeah. Khawaja's dropped on.
Khawaja got dropped.
He's dropped on 6.
Dropped, didn't he?
Yep, on 6 and 45, Khawaja was dropped. And Nathan Lyon was dropped on 2. 3 of those poor old, is it Brandon King?
Brandon King,
yeah. As one press box wag noted when he struck his fourth boundary of his innings, he's now hit more boundaries. And anyway, you know how that goes. They weren't all that costly, the drop catches, but it was sloppy, and they were pretty simple chances. I've got to say, most of them. So Australia could have been in worse position. Australians will all recall the wonderful Shamar Joseph performance in Brisbane in early 24, wasn't it? Kid bowled the house down with a broken toe. Remember, wasn't supposed to take the field, and got man of the match and won a famous victory for the West Indies. Been a little bit off his food since, Gideon. Remember, we followed him to, I think he went to England after that and played 3 test matches, and his fitness let him down. He didn't have the work in him, and his fitness has been an issue since, which, to a degree, it's the conundrum of the West Indies cricket. He plays a lot of white ball cricket. He plays a lot of franchise cricket. He's still young, so he doesn't have those miles in his legs, and he hasn't probably got himself into the place where he can come at a series in tip-top condition, as Crash Craddock might say. But Ian Bishop said before this test match that he thought that Shamar had put in the work now and had got his body right and was ready to go, and he tipped him for big things, and so it was. I mean, he picked up 3 of the 4 early wickets. He really troubled the Australian batters, and for all money, he looked like he was gonna get a 5-fer. He's pulled up a bit short of that with 4 for 48. It was Seals, who is an excellent bowler himself, gave him great support, I've got to say. He picked up the 5-wicket haul on the day, and ably supported to some degree by Greaves and a few of the others, Shamar Joseph. Didn't let the side down. If you read my piece, you'll see that there is a contingent of I can't see it now, of West Indies legends here at this game, and it must have been great for them to be sitting up there in the stands celebrating the 75th anniversary of that World Cup, and to see the Windies lording it over the Australians just like they used to in the old days, Gil.
I reckon it must be difficult to be a young West Indian cricketer now because you're constantly in the presence of greatness against whom you're unconsciously measuring yourself. And the attitude of so many people to West Indies cricket is, thank God for the West Indies, weren't they wonderful? Now, everything is in the rearview mirror.
Correct.
So,
Correct.
And here they are, at the Citadel, Barbados, which could almost have, at its peak, have fielded a test team in its own right. And, there's a lot to measure up to, isn't there?
Yeah. And I always felt that was a little bit of an issue as we moved on out of the 90s. I always felt that, Brian Lara might have had a bit of a chip on his shoulder about that sort of thing, that, he and his teams didn't get the same respect and perhaps support that they might have expected from those guys. But let me just tell you a few of the names of some of the guys who are here. Clive Lloyd's here. Lance Gibbs, Andy Roberts, Elvin Kallicharan, love Elvin, Desmond Haynes, Derek Murray, Wes Hall, and Charlie Griffith. Man, a serious collection of cricketers. I assume they're sitting over there in the Garfield Sobers Pavilion. You refer to West Indies cricket being lived in the rearview mirror. It is like a museum, this place. I mean, when you walk in, there's one of the statues out the front. There's Charlie Griffith, Wes Hall, and of course Gary Sobers. These massive statues out there. You come in, there's the Gary. So I'll read around the ground. Let me read the scoreboard.
Okay.
Gary Sobers Pavilion over there, beautiful building. Next to the Hall and Griffith stand, which is next to the Greenwich and Ames stand, which is next to the Hewitt and Innes stand, and then we've got the press box at the Malcolm Marshall then. I'm twisting my neck here. Got Worrell, Weeks and Walcott stand there. And I've missed one. Anyway, that's enough. There's another one somewhere. But and there is a museum across the road. So it's a lot of days of old around here. But that was a good day.
Who takes the new ball in that lot? Jesus, there's a fair bit of pace in that. And you got Gibbs and you got Sobers who can bowl everything.
If you don't get the new ball, you're probably not getting a bowl. Anyway, the bowlers did really well. I mean, it was great to see a wicket assist the bowlers. Yeah. It was good to see a ball that was moving in the air. Sun was out early, but the clouds came in. Even I watched the first over Seals bowls from the press box end, and you could just see it swing. He bowled the first. I think it was him that bowled the first over after lunch, second over after lunch from the same end. Equal amount of swing. It was still going. Yeah, right. It was a tough day to bat. A very tough day.
And they're using the Caribbean Dukes, as you were pointing out yesterday.
Yes, that's right. Did I point that out?
You did. I think okay. Yep. Yes. Pete, it's that moment in the pod where I get to utter those deathless words. What is sailing?
And it's at that moment where I get to say, I'm glad you asked, Gideon. I'm glad you asked. And what an appropriate moment to ask, because at this moment, as I speak, I am using Saily to speak to you from the ground here, Kensington Oval, all the way back to your place in Carlton via Saily. Saily is an eSim, and it is a very convenient device for a chap like me who finds themselves in the Caribbean where there are no Australian carriers. You cannot. My phone doesn't work in the Caribbean.
No Aussie carriers. Interesting.
No. So what I did, I went on the Saily website. I pushed a couple of buttons. I downloaded a Saily eSIM on a very, very good plan and got a discount because I typed in the code cricket et al.
Well remembered, Pete.
And I'm live and immediate. Not only that, Gideon, I was receiving messages from the crowd from people who were using the Saily. Our friend Nav, one of the listeners to the podcast, sent me a message on WhatsApp. She said, I can't believe I did it. Like Gideon, I'm a Luddite, but somehow this thing works a treat.
That's incredible.
Oh.
That's incredible. I can't believe I have never pushed any product as hard as I've pushed. I've been walking up to total strangers in the street saying, have you tried the Saily app? It's incredible. It's brought to you by Norwich Security, and you can choose from several affordable eSIM plans in over 150 countries. I don't even need to read this live read anymore. It's such second nature to me.
It's an incredible thing. I mean, and to think, it was only 2 tours ago that we were filing by post restant. But
exactly, by carrier pigeon.
Carrier pigeon. Well, that was 3 tours ago, wasn't it? Yeah. Now look at us. We just go, boom, we download that Saily app. It's cheap. It's safe. It avoids rip-offs. And it avoided another thing, Gideon, me having to line up at one of those booths at the airport, because the last thing I want to do after a long-haul flight to the Caribbean is to stand in another queue at the airport. I just feel really smug? And the guy said, Pete, you'll need a sitting. And I said, nah, mate, I've got the Saily.
Did you walk past people in the queue saying, should have used Saily?
Yeah. I can get you a discount.
Yeah. So anyway, I got to recite some of these.
What have you got to say?
This is statutory. I'm going to say it minimises roaming fees, significantly reduces and even eliminates roaming fees. You can stay no more wandering around looking for a public Wi-Fi spot with an eSIM. You're always connected. It's compatible. All Saily eSIM plans are compatible for iOS or Android devices. You've got 24/7 support. It's like having a big brother always looking out for you. Support constantly available.
I used the support because I stuffed up when I was in the UK and in Portugal. I made a mistake. I rang them. They said, "Oh no, you've made a mistake there." But don't worry, they actually transferred some money and just fixed it up for me very quickly. Saily, take me away to where I'll always get it.
Were they like really warm and friendly? Did you feel like a big, giant Saily hug around your shoulders?
Well, it just confirmed that we're one big happy family. One big happy family.
So just for those who don't know, go to saily.com/cricket et al. Use the code cricket et al. And you will get an exclusive 15% off your first purchase.
15%. That's a lot of money in this day and age.
Not to be sneezed at.
No,
not to be sneezed at.
Especially here where things are so expensive. Everything else is,
Saily,
anyway.
Pete.
God.
Saily,
What
mate,
did we
Saily
do without
could do
it?
anything.
What did we do before?
Saily could Saily could fix the Middle Eastern peace process.
I remember we had
Saily could undo Brexit.
We had 2 tin cans and a piece of string at one point, didn't we?
We did.
Before Saily.
I sort of missed those
that nice
days.
man from Saily came along. Fuck's sake.
Anyway, that's all the Saily we've got time for. Back to the pod in just a moment on Cricket NRL. Cameron Green, Pete.
I knew you. I was just going to ask you.
Okay. So he's number 3.
Correct.
He doesn't look like a number 3, does he? Once again, he's kind of half a stride forward today, bat ahead of Pat. Mm-hmm. Just looks like he's going to prove me wrong and get runs in the second innings, but geez, it's a huge challenge for him to step up into that role. And I did say the other day in my piece about Khawaja that we're going to start going, gee, Khawaja, we're going to appreciate him more in his absence.
Absolutely right.
How would he have been feeling today?
Oh,
not so bloody easy at number 3, eh?
Oh, no. If only he'd got to 50 or even better, 100, I would have had a great piece about, the old man and see. I was going to call it the old man and see. I told you. I'm still all right. But, thank God for Khawaja. Thank God for Travis Head. Travis Head, I wrote this as a piece that if you're Khawaja and you're out there and you're seeing the kids come and go and you've been dropped yourself at once at least to that point, and then Travis Head comes out and it's kind of like, here's my big mate. He just walks into the bar and he just starts throwing punches, doesn't he? And you see the field spread. It's like, get out of his way. This guy's drunk and he's angry. Well, he probably wasn't drunk.
Yeah.
In fact, I saw him run a lap of the Oval this morning. I don't know what's going on there. Yeah, bouncing the Sharon. I've never seen him do any exercise.
It's interesting they haven't moved him. They've stuck him at number 5. They could conceivably have moved him up to number 4 as a more senior player, but they love him in that counter-punching role at 5, and you don't interfere with something that a formula that's working. So the others have been shaped accordingly. It's the same for Steve Smith. Basically, he's always going to bat at 4. But that does leave us with these other gaps to plug, and we are increasingly a nation of number 5s.
We are. Yeah, that's the long and the short of it, isn't it? So, Australia were there dispatched. Did I write down in how many overs? Yeah, I did. 58.5 overs it was, according to my notes.
Right.
I don't know if that's what the scoreboard says. But that left 20 overs to bowl in the day. They didn't.
So just to go back, go back to the head caught behind. What did you make of the head caught behind? Now that's just to remind people that head kind of thrashes one. It goes low through to Hope. And Nitish Menon in the video booth says he's got no clear evidence the ball has gone cleanly into the glove. How did you see it from where you were? How did you see it live?
I didn't.
Oh, all right.
I had gone to the bathroom. And there's no TV screens in the press box. It reminds me of that fantastic incident in Sheffield Shield cricket where, which was never televised in the old days, where every single person in the box missed the dismissal. And Peter Roebuck, proving what a clever man he was, said he was dismissed in an indescribable manner. So, I don't know, mate. You saw more of it than me.
Well, look,
there are no screens in the press box. I'm looking. Yeah.
I mean, it
was an inopportune time to have a toilet break, I must admit.
It was a weird one. It just seemed like one of those ones where the more replays you watch, the more doubt kind of worms its way into your mind. And I don't know. In the end, it hasn't been all that significant because Heads got out shortly afterwards. But sometimes I just wonder whether we sort of get played with these sort of existential doubts which don't actually exist because of technology makes us doubt our own him and I.
Yeah.
But anyway,
I think you were always a fan of the soft call, weren't you? Was it you who said that, generally if you're on the field, you have much better feel for what just happened than for something. And if you're watching it on a screen and you're looking for doubt, aren't you? I think as an umpire watching.
Well, you're getting a two-dimensional representation of a three-dimensional happening.
I've heard you say that before.
Have you really? Okay. Well, honestly, if you're in this game long enough, you can be guaranteed to say everything 10 times.
Yeah. Well, especially if you're
best ball of the day, Pete. That ball to Webster.
Oh.
That top of off delivery.
Unbelievable.
Absolute cracker. And the way that Webster reacted too was just absolutely perfect.
Oh, yeah. It just, a decent batsman in that. All at sea had no hope against that delivery, didn't he? He put his bat where he should have put his bat, but it was the ball just went around it, bowled him.
Yeah.
I thought that ball that Cummins bowled was pretty bloody good too.
Yes.
Oh, and the ball that Hazelwood bowled. It was a pitch on which you could bowl some pretty good deliveries, wasn't it? Yeah. But that was
there was some fantastic seam bowling today. You talk about top of off, and really it was absolutely targeted, wasn't it?
Yeah, it sure was. You said the Seals pitched up a lot early in that innings. I thought the Windies were a bit back for length for my liking early in their innings, but it didn't cost them very much at all, I don't think.
Good. Well, you want to push them back, don't you? In order that those the fuller ball is a wicket taking option.
Correct.
And
now we've got a lot of cricket NRL fans over here, Gideon. If I had $1 for every time someone asked me if you were here, I'd almost have enough money for a beer. And I ran into that English couple that we met in Nagpur. You know that English-Australian couple?
Yeah.
And you remember that girl, Nav, that we met at Peter Rabbit, and she comes to our podcast
we do.
in Adelaide?
We do.
Yeah, she comes to the podcast in Sydney. She's here, and she sent me a message using the Saily app, Gideon, app.
Gotta love that.
To complain bitterly about the way women were treated at the start of play. Now, I'll go on. Nav tells me that somewhat like toilets before we became woke, there was a queue for women to come into the ground and there was a queue for men to come in the grounds. And the men were apparently ushered straight through. The women took 45 minutes in the queue and missed the first, and Nav missed the first ball of the day. She said, we're Australians, we're pretty compliant. We'll line up. We're happy to line up. We're happy to wait a little bit. But said Australian women, when they watch men getting preferential treatment, there's hell to pay. And if it happens tomorrow, I would not like to be the gate attendants up there.
Okay.
But anyway, I'm going to hopefully catch up with Nav and a few other SL listeners at the Bali Beach Club tonight. Okay, that's the place to be.
Well, word to the wise: make sure you go before you come to the ground. Clearly,
go to the toilet.
Yeah.
To be clear, this was to get into the ground.
Oh, okay.
Right. Yeah, sorry. Right. I did muddy the water.
Yep.
That description.
Yep. Okay.
Yes. And it probably is a good idea to go because then you won't miss the ball of the controversial dismissal.
So once again, it was left to the bowlers to sort out the mess left by the batters. They've done everything that you would have wanted them to. They looked suitably relentless. Stark picked up Brathwaite early. Stark bowled pretty slippery. Hazelwood was there or thereabouts, and Cummins, of course, did Cummins things. I thought I quite like the look of Brandon King. I know he's dropped 3 and he's played. But he's played, it was 115 first-class games before he's been picked by the West Indies, which is a record. And that is a lot of games because they don't play all that much first-class cricket. So he has been hanging around and waiting his turn, and he actually looked the part.
And when you've dropped 3...
Pretty solid in defence, left the ball well, got a couple of full ones which he put away. I like the way he, when he got off the mark, his first ball, his inside nicked it to fine leg for 4. And, Mitchell Stark's given him the welcome to Test cricket, the big photogenic Stark smile. But But it was a great little session.
It was.
That last hour, wasn't it?
Yeah, the decision to use the night watchman with 17 minutes to go Warricamp was a poor decision. It lasted 2 minutes. And then the captain found himself out there in the middle. I tell you, any fielder who's dropped 3 catches is not keen to spend too much time in the dressing room, Gideon. It was added incentive that well. It's getting late here. The sun's setting.
Okay.
Do we have anything to discuss?
So, Pete, but your piece has gone up on the site already.
It has,
and I noticed that you're continuing to ring Barbados by the models for all it's worth, which is actually, I think it's actually a song about alcoholism, isn't it, rather than the West Indies?
I am the voice left from drinking, which was the title of his autobiography.
The title of his memoir.
Yeah, memoir.
Yes. Yeah.
There's some great stuff to read on the Cricket et al. Website. If you're a subscriber, it's you have been in for a treat the last few days. Cam Ponsonby's piece on the that fantastic test was great.
Yep.
That wonderful piece of yours from the winter solstice.
Yep.
Very moving, among other things. So if you're not a subscriber, you're missing out.
And if you are a subscriber, you're helping Pete to be right where he is right now. Because that's how we're doing it.
That's very glass half full of you. Can you hold on?
Very glass half full of me.
Yeah.
I think we've got a Saily read to do, Pete, so I'm looking forward to that because apparently you're using it.
I am, all right.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll do that presently and then confuse everything by dropping it into the middle of the podcast. But in the meantime, that's all we've got time for on Cricket et al. Good night from me.
It's good night from him.